You have clicked the Pixel Record podcast, programmed by KanOfSoda. Sit back, chillax, and enjoy the show.
Hello guys, welcome back to Pixel Record podcast. You know me, I'm KanOfSoda, your host, and today it'll be kind of different. Well, it'll be about movies and stuff, well, specifically in the DC Extended Universe, as you can tell by the title. So to start things off, how was your day and how is everything going for you with Thanksgiving so far? Well, mine is going great. Right now it's Saturday, but it will be Thanksgiving break by the time I post this. Of course, I don't think I'll be visiting family and stuff, because of COVID. Well, we don't often do family visits anyway, so anyway, my semester is finally over. I'm so glad. I've hardly been motivated, probably because of this whole pandemic, which has changed all of our lives, and as Ashley would say, it's pretty wild how much the world has changed just within this year. Well, at least Joe Biden will be president in 2021. That's a good thing. But anyway, I'm just excited to just spend the rest of the year in peace without any work. Well, I have finals like next week or so, and maybe 2 weeks from now. But once that's over with, I'm just going to enjoy the rest of this devastating year. Also, I'm probably the only one who finds it weird how right when Halloween is over, people decide to celebrate Christmas, literally on the 1st of November. Like, I guess I get that Thanksgiving is probably, I don't know. I was about to say disregarded because of what happened with the natives, but oh well. I just still think it's odd how people decide to celebrate Christmas after Halloween is over, right after. Well, even though we can't do much for Thanksgiving and Christmas, at least the good thing is that Wonder Woman 1984, it's coming out on Christmas. Yes, isn't that super exciting? It was supposed to come out on June 5 earlier this year, but because of Corona, it got delayed like 3 times. Yeah, the next one was August, and then October, and now December. And it's gonna release on not only theaters, but also HBO Max as well. The way it's gonna go is first on December 16th, there'll be an international theatrical release, but it will not be in the US. On December 25th, there'll be a US theatrical release, and also on HBO Max. So for the first 3 days, it'll be theatrical and HBO Max. But then on day 31 through 60, theatrical only. And then on day 61, it'll be released on DVD, POD, whatever. And honestly, I'm super happy that we will finally see Wonder Woman 84. Like, I've been wanting to watch it for a while, and seeing it delayed made me pretty upset. I've been like, oh come on, come on. It was supposed to be a great year, but these movies are getting delayed because of Corona. Also, if COVID hadn't happened, then we would have a lot of DC films still around filming right now. I know a lot of productions have resumed filming, but the process could be done quicker by now, and the movies would not have been delayed. And I know a lot of people weren't happy with this hybrid release since they believe that theaters will flop this way, the movie will flop this way, and it'll get pirated, which I completely understand, but then again, there's no telling on when the pandemic's gonna end, when the vaccine's gonna come out. I don't know when they're gonna come out with the vaccine, but there's no guarantee on when it'll work, or when it will officially come out and be distributed to everyone. And especially since New Mutants flopped and Tenet flopped horribly. Also, thank God they're not putting a, cost or tax for Wonder Woman 84 like they did with Mulan. Well, I guess most people didn't watch it because of the boycotts and stuff, but still. And I wonder if they're going to do the same thing for Black Widow. Even though I'm not interested in watching the movie anymore, I do think they should probably just put it on Disney Plus, and hopefully not put an extra cost on it. And I know everyone on Twitter's been complaining, but we want it to be a theatrical release. She's been waiting 10 years. She deserves it. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, yeah, I get it. But it's not like we don't have any options at this point. The more the movie gets delayed, no one will be interested in it anymore. And besides, the character is dead anyways. Like, I totally understand that the theater experience is super fun. Like, even I think it's super fun as well, but as I said, we really don't have any other options at this point. So might as well. It's so weird how people are willing to just spend a lot of time just waiting on a movie to come out about a dead character, which has no impact on the future of the MCU. I'm not saying I hate Black Widow. I'm not. I'm just saying that we don't really have any other options at this point, so might as well just stream it. As for me, for Wonder Woman 84, I'm not going to see it in theaters. I'm going to see it on HBO Max. As I said, as much as I enjoy and miss the theater experience, I just don't want to risk getting COVID. Like, I know there are, like, procedures and stuff where you have to, like, wear a mask. Even I always wear a mask when I'm out in public. But I just don't want to risk getting COVID. Because, I mean, I live in America and the COVID cases are going up. It's, like, the highest in the world. I just don't want to risk it. And I know a lot of people weren't happy about the fact that Wonder Woman 84 will be both on HBO Max and theaters, since they think that it will not do well, and not to mention all the pirating and stuff. I completely understand that. But then again, I've been waiting to watch that movie for a long time. I just don't want to wait any longer. And yeah. Also, we're literally on a point where the DC Extended Universe is going back to normal again. Actually, we've been on that point with Aquaman and Shazam. I'm not saying that the other past ones were bad. I'm just saying these new movies is like making the DCEU better in terms of success and the amount of money it's making. Also, I'm pretty glad we're back on the point where there are more than one DCEU movies coming out every year. That way we will have more DCEU movies on the way, so we can like catch up to MCU. Like in 2013, Man of Steel is only one movie. 2016, 2 movies. Batman vs. Superman, Suicide Squad. And then the 3 years we were on that one movie each year streak with Wonder Woman 2017, Aquaman 2018, and Shazam in 2019. I know there was Justice League in 2017, but we don't count that. That's a fake. I mean, come on. And now in 2020, we're back on the more than one DCEU movie thing with Birds of Prey and Wonder Woman 84. I'm not sure if that I worded that right, but you get what I mean, I guess. I'm just glad that after all these slow processes of the number of DCEU movies coming out, it's like back on its feet. And if, as I said, if COVID hadn't happened, then the process would go by a lot quicker. Anyway, enough of all that. I just want to go to one thing I want to talk about today. It's the predictions for Wonder Woman 1984. For me, it comes out in a little more than a month, December 25. At the time of recording this, it's December 21. We'll talk about WW84 and then talk about the other DCEU movies. So for Wonder Woman 1984, it's been 66 years since the first movie. Diana is in the booming, colorful 80s. It's a new technological era. A lot has changed within this 20th century. It's insane. But she is pretty alone because not only has she lost the love of her life, Steve Trevor, but also her other friends we saw in the first movie as well. You know, Etta Candy, Charlie, Samir, and Chief. They're mortal. She's immortal, you know, because she's a god. Now they're all gone, so she really doesn't have any friends. It's just lonely for her. One thing I like to see for the prologue is maybe first Diana is with her new friends during a little bit after World War One, and then eventually she loses them all, and then she's eventually in the 80s. That'd be interesting to see. I think that should be the prologue for this movie. So maybe she starts off as saying something like, I've always wanted to make a difference ever since I left home and went to this strange world I knew absolutely nothing about. So over time, she eventually finds out more, and she fits into this complex society. I feel like the movie could also explain how she manages to get jobs and such. Maybe I wonder if she went to universities or what she put on her resumes to get her the job that she eventually gets. I don't know. I don't really know how resumes worked back in those days. I'm just wondering. But maybe they'll tell us. And she's eventually disappointed to find out that women do not really have a prominent role in society. It's up to the men. Because back in her home, she's mostly used to women being in charge, like her mom, her aunt, and all the women warriors and such. And now, since she's in this world where it's definitely not like that, and she has to live with it since she really can't go back home. Now that I think about it, I wonder where Themyscira is on the map. I know it's probably somewhere very close to Europe, considering they go to England pretty fast, and since that bow and arrow and Justice League landed somewhere in Greece, so it should be kind of close by to Europe. And considering that it comes from Greek mythology, it should. So I'm curious on that, how that's gonna play. The intro will just be her going through the 20th century within these 66 years, and after that it goes into the 80s and kicks off the story. Also, even though this will probably be obvious, I do remember in the trailer I saw this party scene where all the adults are at the ball or the party or whatever it is, kind of like the one in Batman vs Superman at Lex Luthor's house. It's the one where Diana finally sees Steve, and then they go out into the night to hang out, make out, blah blah blah. I know this will probably be obvious, but I'm pretty sure that Diana's friends, the main antagonist, Barbara Minerva, aka Cheetah, will probably be there. Hence, since we saw that scene in the trailer where she was also at a party, so I'm assuming that it will be the same party. Even though I'm not a reader of the comics myself, I do know that Cheetah is Wonder Woman's enemy. I already know that. So, and plus it's already been shown in the trailer anyway, and all the promo and stuff, so yeah. Also, I'm so glad that Cheetah does not look as terrifying as the Cats one. Like the Cats movie that looked so terrible. I mean, the CGI, it's no. And even though you could only see DCEU's Cheetah for like just a blur, you could still tell that it was still good. Also, it's pretty cool that we're gonna see a live action Cheetah. Plus, it'll in theatrical as well with some people. Also, I think it's so interesting that the other antagonist, Maxwell Lord, I think it's interesting how this is the same guy that plays the Mandalorian himself. I've never really watched the show. I don't have Disney Plus. I really want to watch it though, but I still think it's so interesting. I do remember I saw this meme where Maxwell Lord was standing next to Cheetah, and he was pointing at something that they were both surprised at, and someone edited it to where he was pointing at a baby Yoda. Get it? Oh my god, that was like the best thing ever. Also, I wonder what will happen to Cheetah after the movie. And I don't want to be too obvious, like she's gonna die or something like that. Maybe she will, but she gets resurrected maybe later on, because she has these powers. Maybe in Wonder Woman 3, maybe she will join the Injustice League, I believe it's called. I'm not that really big of a comic book reader, but it is cool to have her return future movies to the present day. Speaking of, I do believe Wonder Woman 3 will take place in the present day. Since the other two movies were in the past, so it makes sense, right? But Wonder Woman 3 is for another time. We don't have to talk about it now, since Patty Jenkins says that she wants to take a break from Wonder Woman for a while. Okay, so Steve Trevor. I mean, who's glad he's back? I didn't really expect him to come back, but I'm still glad he's back anyway. I know most people usually are like, you shouldn't resurrect dead characters because it ruins all the mourning and grieving that we all went through. I completely understand. I mean, for me, I'm completely okay with resurrecting characters who have not had enough screen time, like Steve Trevor, or maybe if they were wasted, like Vision, for example. But if they had a perfectly good arc, has been in more and enough movies, like Tony Stark and Palpatine, they're better off staying dead. Even though it really sucks that they decided to bring Palpatine back in the last movie. Just bring him back in the last second, which is weird. But yeah, it's really exciting to see him back in the 80s. Back in his time, it was all dark gradient. There's this big war going on, but now, fast forward in time, he's now in this new era of new technology, lots of money, insane fashion styles. You name it. it's really awesome era. And also be cool and funny for Diana to like go around and show Steve everything. You know, like how in the first movie where Steve was showing Diana around, she was new to this world. Well, now as I said, Diana will show Steve around because she's super familiar with it. She knows how much the world has changed ever since World War One. Also, I wonder why she hasn't participated in World War II. Maybe she just didn't want to fight the wars anymore because it was her first war she was in, and maybe she was completely devastated by how horrible it is. So maybe the movie could tell us why Diana didn't participate in World War II, even though I already came up with an obvious answer, but still. It'll be interesting for Steve to ask all these questions about like, oh my gosh, the world has changed so much. Wait, they have this now? They have what now? Oh my god. Also, can we talk about how this is kind of similar to with Steve Rogers, aka Captain America, who was presumed dead for almost 70 years, and then he wakes up to this new technologically advanced world where everything is more complex. Yeah, it's kind of like that, as you obviously can tell. While Diana is in the role of Peggy Carter, who after losing Steve, she had to accept the fact that he was dead and had to move on by herself. I mean, I know she married someone, but still, you get what I mean. Even though this has no likely chance of happening, I think it'd be pretty cool if Steve Trevor came back again in the third Wonder Woman movie. Sort of like the Bucky scenario. I know, as I said, it was probably unlikely, but I mean, you never know with DC. So if you wish to keep him dead, I completely understand. Also, I'm pretty glad and surprised that the trailers for Wonder Woman 84, even with all these promotion posters and such, they never really revealed major spoilers other than the fact that Steve gets resurrected. Even though I'm excited for him to come back, I do kind of wish that they probably could have kept it for the movie instead of revealing it early on like they did with Nagini in Fantastic Beasts, even though it was a pretty cool plot twist. I think they could have kept it for the movie when it came out. So from it looks like they'll be in Washington DC first, of course. I did hear somewhere that Diana lives in Washington DC. She works there so she can keep tabs on the US government to make sure nothing's bad is happening. Also, it's pretty interesting because this is literally during the Cold War era, and I believe around the time of the Afghanistan or Iraq, somewhere in the Middle East scenario. I think somewhere around there. And around the time Ronald Reagan was president. I know it's probably not important information, but still interesting to think about. Or maybe they could have it different in this universe. Also, do you guys remember Linda Carter, the woman who played the original Wonder Woman back in the 70s? Well, if you don't, then now you do. I've heard a bit of little, rumors spreading around online that maybe that she could appear like as a cameo in Wonder Woman 84. After all, she really likes the first movie. She really likes that Gal Gadot has taken up the torch, has passed on the legacy, and I like how she's really happy about it. Also, when I saw in DC Fandom, when she had her surprise appearance, I think it's interesting when Kristen Wiig, the actor who plays Cheetah, I love how she mentioned that she grew up loving Wonder Woman and watching the show. Isn't that pretty cool? Like, imagine growing up as a fan of Wonder Woman, and then you actually get to be in that movie someday. I do know that Mark Ruffalo grew up as a fan of the Hulk, and then later on played that role, which I always think is interesting. But yeah, I really don't have much to say about it. I'm just gonna maybe wait for the movie and see for myself, and I'll put out my review, but I'm just still excited for the movie to come out. Especially since we hadn't had much movies in months, especially not as much DCEU movies, and now we are on the right track. Also, I'm really glad that Birds of Prey came out before the pandemic, so that it didn't get delayed and stuff. Or else we would have definitely fallen behind on DCEU movies again, which I do not want to relive that, thank you very much, even though I really wasn't there for most of the time. I came into the fandom like a little over a year ago, and it kind of set me that the DCEU wasn't doing well. and I wanted to get back on its feet and be as successful as Marvel. I really like how I transitioned to a Marvel to a completely DC fan, like to see both sides of it. Like, I used to be a Marvel fan, MCU, and I went on the bandwagon on hating DC for no reason. But then one day last year, I just decided to watch the DCEU movies. And over time, I was like, oh my gosh, I really like them. I even enjoy them more than the MCU movies somehow, despite them having twice as less movies than the MCU. Also, this is kind of embarrassing, but the first DCU movie I actually watched was Justice League, the fake version of Justice League. And I have to admit, I was far beyond disappointed. Like, I expected a whole lot more. And, yeah. And I was like, there needs to be a whole lot more to it than that, right? And then I found out that the Snyder Cut was a thing. And I was like, oh my gosh, I need to see this. I really hope it'll happen. There's these headlines going out going like, come on guys, it's not gonna happen. But then, now, it's a thing. I'm super happy about it. I can't wait to see it. It looks like there's gonna be a whole lot more going on than what we got a few years ago. And as I said before, for some reason, I've mostly enjoyed the DCEU movies more than MCU movies. Like, I just watch them a whole lot more than MCU movies. Like, I know the MCU movies has a whole lot more movies, but it's like, how do I describe it? I guess it's because a whole lot more has already went on in MCU movies. Like, there's been a whole lot more already, and I've watched them a lot of times, and it's just, since there's a whole lot is no longer interesting, and with the DCEU, even though there's now a whole lot of movies, it's just a whole lot more interesting and a whole lot more hype. And not only that, but you have a lot of hype on the future, which is pretty cool. And I guess I'm glad I joined around the time that the DCEU did not have a lot of movies. I first came into it, like last year, 2019, and at the time there were only 7 movies. Well, 6 if you don't count Justice League. And since I watched them, I got caught up on all of them, so I can anticipate for the future. And then when I'm watching the later movies, I can just look back and see how far these heroes have come since. Like, for example, once I see Shazam and his friends one day in this huge, insane battle many years from now, I'll just think and look back on where they started to see how far they've come. Isn't that crazy? I guess for the rest of this podcast, since I don't know any much predictions to say about Wonder Woman 84, I just want to talk about the future of the DCEU, and I just want to share my excitement in general, because I'm super hyped for the future. I mean, look at the future slate. So, you got the Suicide Squad. I'm not sure why it's called the Suicide Squad. It's Suicide Squad 2 or Suicide Squad, and then, like, something after that. Like they did with Shazam, and then Shazam Fear of the Gods. But I think it's really interesting how they got James Gunn to do it, especially since at the time, he immediately got the job after he was fired. At first, since there wasn't too much information on it, I was like, this is going to be pretty interesting. I'm happy Harley's returning, especially since she was just in Birds of Prey. And then when I saw a trailer, I was like completely blown away. I was like, holy shit, this is awesome. This is way better than the first movie. It's a whole lot more characters, a whole lot more going on. I'm hyped. Speaking of, I do hope they get the Ayer cut released as well. Since, Suicide Squad, the theatrical version, it was okay. It really didn't live up to the expectations. The battle scenes were pretty cool, though. But other than that, it's mostly just walking around and talking, which is really not that interesting, really. And considering that the director, David Ayer, he has seen it after a long time, and considering Jared Leto's Joker is going to be in Justice League, I do believe that it will eventually happen. I just think it's crazy how there are 2 sequels to Batman vs. Superman, Suicide Squad, Justice League. They were made by amazing directors with dark stories, but they were completely changed into comedies, which completely failed the DCEU for a few years until Aquaman and Shazam put it back on its tracks. I'm really not sure of too much what to say about the Suicide Squad. I'm just hoping Harley Quinn survives. I'm sure she will because she's got a whole arc ahead of her. Plus, we need the live-action Gotham City Sirens movie where they should introduce Poison Ivy to the DCEU. That would be really awesome to see, and also Catwoman as well. I wonder if it's going to be the same Catwoman that Zack Snyder intended. What I mean by that is that he was originally thinking of this actress Carla I don't know how to pronounce her last name. I don't want to butcher it, but he was considering her for the role of Catwoman in his DCEU movies, but it was later scrapped. Basically, they were married like 10 years ago, but later on divorced. So it would be interesting if they casted that same actress for Gotham City Sirens. Also, they should introduce Punchline to the DCEU. Basically, she's basically Joker's new girlfriend this year. She was just introduced this year, and she and Harley Quinn have become great enemies, so I think it'd be cool if she was introduced in the DCE as well, and they should bring back Joker. Oh, and bring back Ben Affleck as Batman, since he's officially back, as we all could tell. Okay, my bad. I went kind of off topic. I guess I just tend to do that sometimes whenever I'm talking, especially in podcasts. So I guess we can get back on. I'm not sure what much to say about the Suicide Squad. I just think it looks really cool. And the fact that they're getting an alien Mongal in it is pretty interesting. And also, I think that the villain will be Starro the Conqueror, which is supposed to be an alien. And I haven't read the comics, as I said, but I've read a bit about him online, and it seems pretty interesting. I hope that's the case, because we need more space-bound movies. I mean, I love the Earthbound ones, but we should have space-bound ones as well. Luckily, we're getting a Green Lantern HBO series, and hopefully a Green Lantern movie. Though I really hope that the Green Lantern HBO series is gonna be a part of the DCEU universe. I think it should, and I think it will, because apparently Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart, the main Green Lanterns, are not gonna be in it, and they're gonna be saved for the movies. And it could, I'm not sure if it's true, but it could be that Hal Jordan's Green Lantern could appear in Justice League, so that's a bonus. I really hope that's the case, because we really need to expand more on the DCEU. Like, I guess I kind of get that we need to focus on Superman and Batman as well, but don't worry, that'll come. We just have to be patient. Also, another thing I want to talk about, Shazam, Fury of the Gods. That's one of the films I'm most proper hyped about. I mean, the first one was super good. I mean, it was amazing. It was probably one of my top favorite DCEU movies. And that one movie alone, it leaves so much potential for the future of Shazam and his teammates. Especially for Justice League 2. But first we need Fury of the Gods. Now I think I have a lot to say about it, so hear me out. From what we left off, Billy now has this new team of heroes. They got these heroes in Philadelphia. They just met Superman. Sivana is now in jail. And they have just started their adventure as heroes. So, now in the sequel, since in the first movie, Mary is in her last year of high school, she's now going to be in college, so she will be absent, obviously. I wonder how intense this is going to be, considering that she's on the other side of the country, all the way in California, which is where she will be going to college. And if you paid attention, and if you watched the mid-credits scene, you got the villain Mr. Mind. Basically, he's this villain. He's the villain to Shazam. He can basically mind control people, hence his name, Mr. Mind. And even though he's small, he's very powerful. So I think that's going to be really cool and intense. I also heard that there could be the three Fates or something as the main villains of Fear of the Gods as well. And it could be, considering it's connected to, since Shazam is connected to Greek mythology. If you don't know what the three Fates is, they're basically these three sisters from Greek mythology. If you've seen Hercules, the Disney movie, you know about it. Basically, they just decide how your life is going to be with some strings, like how the events are going to play out and stuff. And if they cut the string, then basically you die. It's kind of an interesting concept. So that could be a thing. And because of the three fates and Mr. Mind, I do believe they could be going to the Magic Lands, considering that Mr. Mind in the mid-credit scene said, the 7 realms are about to be ours. Basically, the Magic Lands, it's this new thing introduced in the DC comics. It's basically the 7 realms of magic. Hold on, let me go look it up. It's basically this multiverse dimension. It's basically 7 magic lands. It's basically consists of 7 realms. You can go look it up yourself, but I've read a bit about it and it's pretty interesting. So I believe that these Shazam kids could be going to the Magic Lands. I'm pretty interested to see that. Also, considering that Sinbad the comedian was in the DC fandom panel for Shazam, a lot of people have predictions that he's gonna be Taki Tani, which is an ally to Shazam in the comics, which further goes to my prediction that they could go to Magic Lands. Maybe in this movies, Taki Tani will be from, I think, the Wildlands. It's basically a place in the Magic Lands that is populated by mostly animals, so maybe in the movies he could originate from there, and then he could team up with them. That would be cool to see. Also, this will probably be a minor prediction, but I think Savannah will die. I just don't know much to say about it. I also believe that Billy's father, C.C. Batson, could appear in it. I wonder how it's gonna go down. I don't really know much to say about his father appearing, but I do believe it's going to happen. Oh, and to the most important, and actually my most favorite part, the cameos. I do believe that Superman could make a cameo in this movie, considering that he met them in the very last scene with Freddy at the lunch table, and considering that Superman and Shazam were basically huge allies in the comics, I believe that could be possible. Or maybe Wonder Woman could appear as well, considering that both heroes, Wonder Woman and Shazam, are connected to Greek mythology, hence why the movie is called Fury of the Gods. But I do hope Superman comes back in this movie. I did hear some predictions that the second movie could be more connected to the rest of the DCEU, so that it's ready for future crossovers and stuff. Which I am super excited about. Justice League 2, that's gonna be a big one. Also, I do not believe that Black Adam will appear in Fury of the Gods. I guess it's kind of too early for that. But I do believe that he will appear later on to face Shazam and even Superman. I can't wait for that. And considering that Dwayne Johnson has literally called out the rest of Justice League and Shazam saying, I'm coming for you, this is gonna be fun. I really don't have much to say about the Black Adam movie. I really don't know exactly what's gonna happen, but I am super excited for that. And about Fury of the Gods, I do hope they start filming soon, because, I mean, they're kids, and they're growing up so fast. And especially the younger ones, since kids age very fast. But, I mean, the older ones, Mary, Pedro, Freddy, and Billy, they're still gonna look young enough to look like kids. Even if the actors are pretty much adults. Well, except the Freddy actor, Jack Dylan Grazer, who's still 17. Asher Angel just turned 18 recently, the guy that plays Billy. And then the Pedro actor, I forgot his name, turned 20 kind of recently. And Mary's actor, Grace Fulton, is 24. But Eugene and Darla, they're definitely gonna age fast. But hopefully that shouldn't be too much of an issue. Maybe just a few years passed since the first movie. Well, obviously, but I'm just excited anyway. I do know, like, a few days ago, the kid Billy actor, Asher Angel, he posted something on Twitter like, I can't wait to film Shazam! Fury of the Gods. And I'm hoping that was a sign that Shazam 2 just started filming recently. I hope that's the case. I know according to him, they were supposed to start filming this summer, but because of COVID, it had to be delayed. And even though I'm pretty upset that we have to wait like a little under 3 years to wait for that movie, I'm still excited for it. It comes out in like June 2023, which is crazy because that marks 10 years since Man of Steel came out, which started the whole DCEU. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna be 22 by then, I'll be old. And I know, the MCU had a whole lot more movies within the 10 years than the DCEU have. I know, I don't care. I'm just happy. Just don't compare the MCU and DCEU, okay? I'm just happy that the DCEU is back on the right track. And that we are ready for the future. Anyway, Justice League 2. Oof, I'm super excited about that, especially. Even though it's a really long way away, I'm still kind of hyped on what's going to happen. But first, we're going to have to see Zack Snyder's Justice League and see how awesome that is. I have no idea too much to say about Justice League 2, but I do hope that these characters appear. Shazam, Black Canary, Green Lantern, maybe Martian Manhunter, maybe some other heroes that will become a part of the Justice League. Maybe they are in dire trouble and they need more heroes to be recruited for their team. So maybe Superman's like, I know where to look, Philadelphia. He goes there. He recruits the Shazam family. Maybe Bruce discovers who Black Canary is and he goes out to Gotham to recruit her. Or maybe Green Arrow as well. That'll be interesting to see. Also, we do need a Man of Steel 2 as well. I also hope that in Man of Steel 2, they should introduce Supergirl to the DCEU. That'd be pretty awesome. Or maybe in Justice League 2, they could all take on Black Adam as the main villain. Or maybe some other villain, who knows? That'll be something I'm going to be pretty excited about. I did hear about the Static Shock movie that will come out, produced by Michael B. Jordan and his company, which I'm also interested to see. I do hope it's part of the DCEU as well. They haven't confirmed it, but I do hope it is, since, as I said earlier, we do need to expand more on the DCEU to make it big as we can. And I have nothing to say about Aquaman 2 either, but I'm still going to see it, even though I'm still very upset that Amber Heard is going to be in it. She didn't get fired. While as Johnny Depp, who is actually innocent, got fired, which I'm still pretty upset about, but even so, I'm still gonna watch the movie. But if you want to boycott it, I completely understand. You do you. I'm just pretty excited for Aquaman's future, that's all. Also, since Orm and Black Manta are returning, they should also introduce new characters as well, since James Wan, his name is, the director of Aquaman, he says in the second movie he's going to expand more on this Atlantean universe, so that's going to be exciting to see. It'll also be darker. Also, since Orm's in jail and Aquaman is now the king of Atlantis, I do think it'd be interesting to see the two brothers have this sort of relationship. Of course, they first really don't like each other, but they will eventually become close brothers. You know, kind of like the Thor and Loki scenario. And it is similar in many, many ways if you think about it. It's very interesting. I don't really have much to say about the DCEU's future. It's really a long way away. But I just want to share my excitement on the future. I'm really hyped for it. I can't wait for Shazam to save the universe. That's gonna be really awesome. To see where the future takes him is gonna be amazing. Anyway, as I said, I don't have really much to say. I just wanted to share my excitement, so I will see you later, I guess. Bye!